Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Danny Rodriguez, an athletic trainer student and an athletic trainer YouTuber. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to become an athletic trainer?
Yeah, so with the whole athletic training and the way it happened is that I had been playing sports my whole entire life. I played soccer since I was like 10 pretty much. And initially my whole goal was set on soccer, like, oh, I'm going to be a professional soccer player. I did a lot of camps. I played in a bunch of different clubs. I was starting in high school. Like, it was, I'm going to be a pro athlete. It wasn't though until like I would say the end of my junior year of high school where it kind of hit me like, you know what, Danny, you're not gonna be pro. Like you have to get off the cloud, focus on school, focus on academics. And my mom is a scientist, so she's really big on like, getting good grades and getting a really good degree. So I did a program at the University of Miami before I was a student there. Obviously in high school, it was called Summer Scholars, where I kind of had a college experience for like a month. So I did the program. It focused on sports medicine and sports science. And after doing that program, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll major in sports medicine, athletic training. It's the same realm. And yeah, that's where I am now.
What are some of your achievements that you've achieved so far in athletic training?
So honestly, like as a student, it's really hard to say achievements per se, but I have had a lot of experiences. I worked with the football team this last fall, their whole entire season. I worked the bowl game. I worked all the big games like the FSU game, which is our main rivalry. I also worked with the basketball team in the spring a little bit as my spring rotation as a sophomore. And just the whole like networking, being around the whole sports medicine staff, being around very good D1 athletes at a really big D1 school has just been like a really big privilege overall and like a really cool experience. So yeah.
Can you talk about the difference between an athletic trainer student and then an athletic trainer?
Yeah, so a lot of it really has to do kind of with like what you're allowed to do and perform with athletes. So for example, me as an athletic training student, I kind of fall below in terms of ranking of the like as the licensed as the athletic trainer. So that's how we kind of like say it when we're students. We call them like the licensed trainers because obviously we don't have our license just yet. And they kind of run the show pretty much, and we help them run it. But we can't really dictate treatment. We can't go above their like jurisdiction. So if like a player gets injured, we can like assess an injury. We can suggest a protocol. We can like suggest a treatment. But at the end of the day, the athletic trainer has like the final say. So we just do a lot of like helping. When it comes to like calling and like what to do, like they're the ones that really decide like what to do. So
as an athletic trainer student, do you get to choose what sports you play? Like what sport do you help each season?
Yeah, so I get that question asked like pretty much by everybody. And it's actually interesting. So we don't only have sports, we call them rotations. So when we as athletic training students talk with our athletic training professors, we don't say, oh, I want to get this sport. We say I want to have this rotation. And the reason for that is because you could have a rotation that isn't a sport. For example, I actually worked last semester before the whole COVID situation at a high school. So you, in terms of say though, like what rotation you want to get. So everybody does football automatically when they're junior because it's the hardest one. It's the most time consuming. So just to get it over with. There's also a set of like regulations that our program has. So for example, like I have to do one helmet sport, which in our school is football. In some other schools, you might be able to do hockey and lacrosse. Then you have to do like one female sport. You have to do like one in season, one like out of season sport. And you could kind of like tell our professors, you could be like, oh, I kind of want to do this, but at the end of the day, like they decide for you. So you have like a say in it, but you don't really decide. It's all up really.
Can you talk about your YouTube channel? It's Danny and how it got
to make sure you're
Can you talk about your YouTube channel, It's Danny, and how it got started?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel since I was a little kid. Um, I was one of the first people to like have a YouTube account. I first opened a YouTube account in like 2006. Um, and I had a lot of like really dumb videos of me like messing around as a little kid. And that was my goal. I always wanted to have a YouTube channel like ever since I was a little kid. But I really didn't focus on it. Like when you're a little kid, you're like in high school, you're like in middle school, high school, all this stuff. You don't really focus on it too much, and it's also like your day is like very it's like very scheduled for you, especially like in high school. It's like everything is like a pattern, like for 4 years you're doing the same exact thing, which is kind of scary. So I never really focused on YouTube at all. Like I said, I was really big on soccer, so my whole focus was on soccer training every day. I didn't really have time to do YouTube or anything. So eventually, when I got to college, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm starting a YouTube channel, and I really had no idea what to do it on. I just posted a couple of travel videos here and there, but then eventually, I'm like, you know what? Let me make kind of like a college niche YouTube channel. And little by little, I've turned into kind of like this athletic training, sports medicine YouTube channel as well. So it's kind of like progressing every day. I obviously do my college vlogs. I do vlogs of me enjoying my life in Miami. But every day kind of evolutions a little bit to like turn into like something, something new, something better, something more relevant to my life. And something that like my viewers can also enjoy, to keep it, more entertaining throughout the progression of the channel. Cause I'm trying to keep it forever, I'm not trying to like end anytime soon. So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Can you talk about your most famous video, AT Plan parody?
Yeah, so that video, it was actually a project. Our teacher is like, you have 20 athletic training terms, and you have to make it. You have to turn them into like a song. Came to our school to sing God's Plan, and he made a music video. Like my friend did, so yeah, we did it.
How does it feel when that video is one of your most popular videos on your YouTube channel?
I mean, it took a lot of time to edit and all that, so it's like really rewarding that like people liked it and stuff, especially people like in the athletic training community. I actually had professors from other schools email me saying that they knew my athletic training director, which is kind of like, it's pretty funny because the problem is like when you're like in that world of like academia and like you have the whole hierarchy with the professors and athletic trainers, you realize that it's like these really important people are watching you like have fun with the profession and with the scholarly sides of things. So it became kind of like a really good balance between like me as like a good student and really focus on academics, but I also like to like mess around and have a good time type thing. So yeah.
Can you talk about the everyday life of being an athletic trainer student and what you go through?
Yeah, so it's actually a lot. It's a rough day, like every day. Pretty much I'll go through my football schedule. My football schedule was wake up at like 5:30 a.m., go to the training room. We would set up the field at like from 6 to 8 a.m. We'd be setting up the field. Then we'd kind of have like a little break from 8 a.m. to like 9, but it really wasn't a break because we still were involved with treatments and other stuff that like I can't really show on my channel due to like a lot of regulations. And then after that, we'd go to football practice, which would last like 2 to 3 hours. Then we would finish practice, tear everything down. We would shower, go to class right after practice. So there's literally like a 15-minute gap from practice to class. So I would eat really fast, do everything really fast, go to class from like pretty much in the fall. It was go to class from like 12:30 all the way to like 6 p.m. To 6 p.m. and then study the whole night and then repeat it pretty much. So I work out a lot. I'm really big on fitness. So I always find like an hour or two within the day to work out, go to the gym, go on a run, just to like stay healthy. So.
What difficulties did you face when it came to being able to record like things like that? Did
Yeah.
you have to get like permission from your head athletic trainer and teachers?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really funny that you asked that because the thing is that I also do besides athletic training on YouTube. My channel obviously has like a lot of college content. So I'm not trying to like sound conceited or anything, but reality is that a lot of people on campus like know who I am. They watch my videos. So the first time that I went to I didn't go to the head athletic trainer because the head athletic trainer is like that's a really big position to have. So we don't really communicate with them too much. But I went to one of the assistants, who's kind of like our boss, if you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to him and I'm like, oh, listen, I have a YouTube channel, or whatever. I want to do more athletic training videos. And he was really like against it at first. Like, oh, like I don't think it's a good idea. But then the athletes started recognizing me, and they're like, "Oh, you're Danny, you're Danny." And he realized that, like, oh, like I'm actually serious about YouTube. So I showed him my YouTube channel, and I'm like, "Oh, this is what I have." And at the time, I only had like 5,000 subscribers. And he's like, "Oh, wow, you actually like commit to it." I'm like, "Yeah, like I actually do this like for real." And he kind of opened up. He eventually talked to like one of the people with compliance, and he's like, "Oh, can you film?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can film, but just like no athletes in any of the athletic training videos, no treatments, stuff like anything medical related that we do to athletes, I cannot have on video, especially as a student, because if I want to have it on video, I'd have to go through like a very hard process of approval that like it's just not worth it." So it was kind of hard in the beginning, but then little by little, it kind of got easier. And I remember one day for the FSU vlog, I just brought my GoPro and I started vlogging, and he didn't even bother to ask. Like he was like, "Oh, you're vlogging, cool," because it's just like what I do. So it kind of came with confidence and time, and them knowing who I was and what I do on my YouTube. So it worked out at the end of the day, which I'm happy. I'm happy it did.
Do you normally do vlogs on game days for every game day or just some game days?
So I personally only did it. I only did it for. So I did a video for the UF game. I didn't do a vlog because I was still kind of gaining confidence with like my boss. So he said like, "Oh, no vlogging, no camera on the field, none of that." But I still wanted to do a video. So I'm like, "Oh, can I do like a video about it? Because it was the first game or whatever. I just want to like talk, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, you could do that." But then I did a vlog for the FSU game because he had confidence in me. Like he knew what I was putting out there and all that stuff. Now, I never did a video for a home game. Unfortunately, I really wanted to do a vlog for a home game, but the only reason I didn't do it is because he advised me not to, just because when you're in a home game, there's more people, like obviously from the school that are related to the program. So he just didn't want there to be like an issue where somebody goes to me that says like, "Oh, like why are you recording? Like you can't be doing that," which I understand. And also for some of the other games, I just didn't want to vlog it because we actually work and we do a lot. So it's really hard to balance like vlogging and working. That's why I only really did two games, like two, I only vlogged two games in reality. So yeah.
What do you look forward to accomplishing in your senior year as an athletic trainer?
So for me personally, like I'm really big on like anatomy. I like love anatomy. I kind of like this summer I've been going over a lot of anatomy in terms of like muscles, bones, like joints and everything. So my goal for this year is kind of just to like kind of pinpoint injuries, because when there's a difference about like learning an injury in class and actually applying to the real world. You can know any injury by book, you can memorize it, learn everything about it, but it's completely different like actually seeing it in like person and trying to diagnose it. So my goal as a senior is to like just be better at diagnosing injuries and being able to pinpoint, if not the injury, at least the structures involved when I see them.
After you graduate Miami, what plans do you have for your future as an athletic trainer?
So right now I'm kind of like on the fence, just because I still have like a year left. So I want to see like more of athletic training. I'm either between like going to like get a master's degree, because every athletic trainer has a master's degree, or going into like an extra year and maybe finishing some like pre-med recs to go into like med school, but still stay within like sports medicine. Um, so those are kind of like my two like, paths right now that I'm like kind of thinking about this summer.
Do you see yourself going when you graduate being an athletic trainer at a college level or a professional level?
If I were to do it, so here's the thing: if you want to be professional, you have to go to college. Like you have to go through a college at some point. It's. I don't think I've ever in my life, at least nowadays, because back then it was different. I don't think I've ever heard of an athletic trainer that goes straight professionally. Usually, you have to do college, even if it's for like a year or two. So if I do decide to take that path to be professional, I would go college and then professional.
What advice would you get? What are you planning to accomplish with your YouTube channel in this upcoming year after you graduate and in your senior year?
Mhm. Yeah, so I actually have like an anatomy series I'm kind of planning out. Like this past year I learned a lot of anatomy and I felt like the resources online were pretty bad. Just because they're either too serious or they're like very boring. So I'm trying to reach like a middle gap to create like an anatomy series that like anybody can understand to make it like enjoyable. And I'm also gonna incorporate a lot more athletic training videos in terms of like what we do, kind of show like some equipment and stuff like that. I really couldn't do too much of that during the fall because I was just working so much with the football team. So it became hard to like do those videos. And then in the spring, I was at a high school. So I wasn't even in UM to do like my internship, you could call it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to like do more, more of in my last year. You know,
Do you see you making any more like little parodies in the upcoming year?
possibly, yeah. I had a video planned out, but then like the COVID situation happened, so school ended. But I was gonna do a video that was like stuff athletic training students say. So it's kind of gonna be like a funny side of athletic training that other people could see. Um, and I also had a lot of like the 10 types of athletic training students, stuff like that that I had planned it out, but like I said, because of this whole situation, I couldn't get it done.
Are those some things that you plan to do in the fall if sports come back after this coronavirus?
Yeah, it kind of just be following up with what I had planned in the spring because what happened is actually so I at the first 8 weeks of the spring I was at the high school and then the second 8 weeks I was supposed to return to UM to finish my internship with the tennis team, um, but it didn't happen. So all the plans that I had for the spring I'm just gonna move them now to the fall.
What advice would you give upcoming athletic trainers just like me trying to get into the profession?
My main thing is because for me, I'm very big on like academics. So a lot of people they're like, oh, try to like help and all that, try to like volunteer, but like honestly, no. Like what I like to say is like learn anatomy straight up. Learn anatomy, learn all your muscles, all your bones. Because it's honestly not that hard to learn as people think it is. It's really easy and it's really enjoyable knowing like what muscles you use just for like daily function in your lives. Like just like knowing where all the muscles attach, like what bones they attach to. So my big advice is like learn anatomy. Like don't even get involved in the sports world. Literally just learn basic anatomy. That's my advice.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Yeah. So my Instagram is goalkeeper Danny. Um, because I used to play soccer goalkeeper, and then my YouTube is it's Danny.
Thank you again, Danny, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with being an athletic trainer. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Danny, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you.